Good afternoon, my friends. I want to touch on how recovery feels in a different way because I'm having my own little version of this right now. And it was like, this is a good time to talk about what this feels like. So, one of the things, this isn't so much an early stage recovery thing. Like a lot of people have a honeymoon phase, not everybody, but a lot of people do when they're rewiring their brains in that first 3 to 6 months where they just feel amazing all the time. A lot of people have that, probably at least half, if not more. And this isn't so much then, but a lot of times later on, once we fully come out of fight or flight, even if you had a lot of fight or flight and a lot of freeze, so just to kind of break that down, fight or flight is more anxiety, ramped up, insomnia, racing thoughts, can't hold still, irritable, resentful, that sort of thing. Freeze is more chronic fatigue. Brain fog, depression, dark and gloomy. Those are the kind of states. And when you come out of fight or flight has a lot of energy to it. It's not healthy energy, but it does have a lot of zing and a lot of power to it, on an energy level. And when you come, and this is something that people get really thrown by, is that when you actually have succeeded in coming out of fight or flight, a lot of times what happens is you fall into freeze because your system doesn't have a baseline of calm. So when we calm down, we don't have a baseline of relaxation chemistry and nervous system stability based in dose chemistry. So we kind of fall through where calm would be and end up in a freeze response and more not dorsal shutdown, but it can get pretty freezy down at the bottom. And that's where everybody's nervous system goes. Doesn't matter who you are, that's a hardware thing. It's just how we're all wired. So if you're rewiring and you've recently just come into like this big slump and you're feeling like it feels like a very body-based heavy hangover, kind of like when you come all the way out of fight or flight, you're like, oh my God. A lot of times you're exhausted. It's hard to find motivation. You feel puffy. That's where I'm at today. I'm like, oh my God, my face just feels like, and you have my whole body, but especially my face. I just came out of like burnout, healing PTSD and complex PTSD. And so my system was like up here, and I finally came out and slept last night. And so my whole system's just like, ugh. But this can happen at this point. I can still wake up in the morning and have a great day. But when you're in recovery, it can mean that you're working more with the freeze response. And it's a different approach than working with fight or flight. And a lot of people take this as that they're doing something wrong because they feel really groggy and out of it, or unmotivated, or just it worse in some way, more freezy. So and it can seem worse because it's a different kind of bad than when you were in fight or flight, but it's actually a sign of progress. And again, it's a hardware issue. And this is part of where understanding the science of brain function and nervous system function can literally like save your recovery. Because if you don't know that this is a sign of progress, you're probably going to think you're doing something wrong. So if this is you on any level, congratulations, you made it through one layer of fight or flight and you've come out of it. And now you'll want to focus more on working through freeze. And if you're not familiar, I do have a workshop on specifically working with freeze. I think is over an hour of just devoted to understanding the freeze response, understanding how to work with it, how to get out of it. It's very different from fight or flight. It's the opposite, literally the opposite thing. So if that's you, there's that there for support if you identify with this and you're like, I don't know what to do with freeze. But it's totally work throughable. And again, sign of progress. This is the process of recovery. So no, you're not alone. Everybody who's going through recovery is with you, and this is how it feels for all of us because we all got human hardware. Love you guys.